And everybody, welcome back to LinkedIn Logs. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier LinkedIn podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Let the theme song finish its thing. And then it'll fade out eventually so that I can continue this stupid show. LinkedIn Logs, episode 7. We got stuff to talk about. I'm just kidding. We never had anything to talk about. One day I would have started the show and be like, I got a job. But until that day, we'll be here. What's been going on with me? Let me pop open LinkedIn. That's typically a shoot. Oh my God, I just closed down a tab I didn't want to close down. Oh, here we go. Yeah, thank you. Let's pop open LinkedIn. I've been seeing a lot of the same BS posts. People landing jobs ahead of me. That's everything I've been seeing, obviously. Mental health stuff. My allergies are acting up. So it's just not been good. What jobs have I applied to this week? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a thing where I talk about the jobs I've applied to this week. Let me pop open my email. I gotta stop saying pop stuff. Let me pop this, pop that. Pop. I'm scared. I'm scared of things popping. Application. I got a couple of job denials. That's pretty good. Let's see. Tubi denied me. Tubi. Fox Broadcasting streaming service, Tubi. Who else? Who else denied me this week? Yeah, that was the biggest one. Okay, so let's look at the jobs that I applied to this week. Let's get on to it. Let's look at the one that I applied to. Another Warner Bros. Discovery job, content producer, is temporary. Definitely something I've done before. Doubt I'll get that. CNN writer job. Applied to that. Definitely won't get that. CNN does not like me. Athletic Greens. They had a producer, brand creative. It was a freelance position. They haven't even looked at my application. Doesn't even seem like. I applied on the company's site, so it doesn't matter. Desk producer for CNBC writing position over there in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. New Jersey. Probably won't get that. Crunchyroll. Content analyst, which was a job similar to what I did at Bounce TV. Probably won't get that. All right, those are the biggest ones, and those are the ones I applied to. Did everything I could. Still haven't gotten anywhere. Oh, I was denied. What's today? Yep, 4 days ago. I was denied the job over there at NBC Universal, desk producer, writing CNBC. So it was another CNBC position. All right, let's move on. What's on the docket for today? Yeah, it's still hard out there. Also, someone is screaming in the hallway, having the loudest conversation. Do they not realize I'm recording LinkedIn Logs, the premier LinkedIn Influencer podcast? What do I do during my free time? That was going to be the main topic, and then I realized I had a better gimmick for this episode. And that's all this show is just a bunch of gimmicks. 4 minutes in. What do I do during my free time? Well, I don't sit in front of the computer all day because that would kill my eyes. And I don't watch TV all day because that's stupid. What do I do in that interim? My daily thing is I wake up, 4 a.m., go to the gym. That's not a joke. Go to the gym, do my thing, and then it's around 7:30, 8 o'clock when I usually finish doing the things I need to do. If it's a day like Friday, I go to the grocery store with what little money I have. And I buy things, preferably before 10 o'clock, 9:30. If it's a Thursday, I go to my recycling center. But if it's not any one of those days, then I sit down in front of the computer. Well, yeah, more or less. I watch what is it? Late night. I watch a bunch of late night shows if a lot of them are on. If no one is on hiatus, Seth, Kimmel, Fallon, Colbert, the rest, The Daily Show, the rest, and I try to find some things for, because I have the late night podcast, so I try to find some things for that show to put on that show and some topics. If I'm on time with news time, which I have not been in months, then I typically write something up and edit that and put that out, shoot it, then put it out. What else? If it's Tuesday, I try to record the LinkedIn logs, which has not happened for the past 2 weeks. Which is what you're listening to now. And then, let's see. Apply to jobs. Look for jobs, apply to jobs. I don't just apply to random jobs. I mean, it's a tough world out there. People don't seem to understand that it is harder than it is no matter where you are in the world. It does matter what school you went to, apparently. Sounds very pointed. I just don't understand why on Workday all these positions are under consideration yet they've not. Just take them off. I know all of them are either hired for or on hold. Just take them off. What else do I do? That's pretty much it. I mean, I just apply to jobs, and then if I feel like it, I'll go for a walk or do some more yoga or play with the cat. And then once 4 o'clock hits, oh baby, I turn that TV on. I turn on a video game thing. I eat. That's another thing you try to eat all day. Why am I getting Peloton notifications? Okay, so let's move on to the other gimmick of the show. Because that's what I do. It's very boring. I got nothing else going on. I do my best to try to fill the days, but it is getting more and more difficult. All right. So I contacted our friends over there at ChatGPT, and I had the AI write up some sample interview questions. Because, I feel like I have to get prepared. And I have to answer interview questions. Here's what we're going to do. I pop open 3 different sources. I got ChatGPT. I got Harvard Business Review. And I got Indeed. These are just the 3 that I decided that would be easiest and best. And since I think ChatGPT might be funnier, let's put it in the middle. I haven't even looked at these questions. I haven't. These are the first time looking at these questions. Let's answer the questions and see where it takes us. So the first ones I'm doing are the Harvard Business Review ones. Could you tell me about yourself and describe your background in brief? When I get a question, let's go through all of them. Let's go through all of them at the same time. ChatGPT's first question as well is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience? And then Indeed also has, tell me about yourself and qualifications. Typically, what I do when I answer that question is, they know who I am. I don't start off with something smarmy. I don't start off with some smart-ass comment. I go, and that's the thing. People always think I'm joking around. I'm not. That's insane. In fact, most of the time, when I'm hanging out by myself, which is all the time, I'm a dull, boring person. Sorry about that sniff. It's getting hard to breathe. All right. Tell me about yourself and your qualifications. answer the question. Thusly, I gotta find some way to get this little cable, because the headphones are connected to the Zoom H6. I'm professional. Where the microphone and the iPad are all hooked up to, and the computer. Everything's running in. Makes editing easy. I've had it for years. But my watch keeps getting caught. Okay. Tell me about yourself, your qualifications. What I say is I go, I try to relate it to the job as I try to do basically a short version of the cover letter, which I hate. I'll say something along the lines of, I've been professional producer, audio, video, whatever they need for the past X amount of years. My first position was with WXIA. Blah, 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 blah. My next position was with the Weather Channel. Blah, 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 blah. My next position was Bounce TV. Blah, blah, blah. My next position was with Warner Brothers Discovery. Blah, 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 blah. Now, inevitably, they'll see on my they'll see on the resume. My resume is airtight, baby. I don't. I was about to say something. Yeah, I don't give it. I lie on there about how long I was with some of these places. Some of them I was with them for 2 years, but then there's an 8-month gap in particular between Bounce and Warner, and there's a 6 months gap in between Weather Channel and Bounce TV. Why? Because nobody will hire me, and what happens there is if I just either I fill those in on the application or whatever, and reference to the application is another show I did on this stupid network. I either fill that in, just fill in, or I don't even put the months. I go 2021 to 2022, or excuse me, I go 2019 to 2021. Boom, easy enough. But a lot of the applications, they require you put the months for some reason, and then if they ask something like, "What happened in between that time?" I was like, "Well, you gotta tell the truth." You should be like, "Hey, I was laid off. The contract wasn't renewed, or what have you, and I had to work at a grocery store. I had to walk dogs." And you pray that they take pity on you. And then, but then I always follow up with, but in the interim, I've always been working on my portfolio, doing this. I don't make money from it. You have to reemphasize that. Next up, how did you hear about this position? That's the third question on ChatGPT's. What do you know about our company and why do you want to work here? And that is the third question on Indeed. How did you hear about this position? LinkedIn, easy, Indeed, Glassdoor, whatever. Or I've always admired the company and I really wanted to work there. And I mean, you really just go in there knowing a little bit about the company. If it's a startup, then just say, hey, I checked out your website. But if it's a storied company, just be like, hey, I know all this about the company, and don't give them a history lesson, and give them specifics. Like when I interview a comedian or a person in the industry, when I do my interviews for the interviews or cpluscomedy.com, if somebody has a special and I'm burned out on stand-up, which is a very true fact, or it's a movie I have not had access to, more often than not, I interview somebody that I know. I interviewed Stephanie Weir. I had 30 minutes, and she only did a bit part on Night Court recently. Okay. What else do I know about her? Well, she was on Mad TV for like 12 years. She's an improv comedian. that's all you have to do is just talk. Look up some stuff to fill in the gaps, and then fill in the blanks, and then boom, move on. When I got my first job at Publix, when I was a bag person, I was a bag boy. My mom, when I went to the interview, she was like, do some research on the company. She printed out like a page worth of Publix history for me, made me read it. It's very funny. And then I went in there and I read it, and like went in there, I was like, oh, Publix was founded in 1940. I also got written up at that job. I also got in trouble. I was telling this story this week. Two stories from Publix. I had this job when I was doing football, and so I would leave practice and then go to Publix for like 2 hours, and then they close at like 10, and then I would go home, and then I would work on the weekends, obviously. But I remember I was pushing in carts one night, and I was pushing it from outside into the store, as one does, and I had gum in my mouth, and apparently this is what happened. This is what I was told happened. A woman was walking to the door and like waited for me to push the carts in, and like I spit my gum out, and then she was so offended that by this 15-year-old kid spitting out gum, 15 or 16-year-old kid spitting out gum, that she went to the manager and told on me. And then the next time I came into a shift, I remember so that was at night, and the next shift I came in, it was during the day, and the manager called me into his office along with the GM, I guess. The assistant manager and the manager. They called me in his office, and the assistant manager's name was Chris, and I don't remember what the manager's name was. I remember he was a guy who was not fun. He did not like any jokes, and if I told a joke, he'd be like, and he also had like straight, spiky, wispy white hair, like very, very, like just like as white as the white on this shirt, this flannel, and I went in and they sat me down, and Chris was standing behind the manager. He's just this little smarmy little smirk on his face, and they're like, "Now, Chad, do you remember doing this?" And they tell me that like, you're walking up, you had about 8 carts, very specific, and you spit your gum out. And I went, no, I don't remember that, because like 40,000 things happened in between, that point and then they go, well, you did, and they turn around this computer monitor on the manager's desk, and they show me video of me like struggling to push in 8 carts, and then turning my head, and then turning back, and I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry, and they go, well, it's not going to happen again. And they write me up. They proceed to write me up, which is so stupid to do that to somebody. Jesus, it's not like I did on purpose. Anyway, that happened. And then what was another time? What was another story? There's another story. Actually, I have so many stories about Publix. There's one time a woman was so when you're at Publix, you have to, what they tell you to do as a bag person is to, when you finish bagging, get behind the cart, like no matter, even if they're right there, to get behind the cart and start pushing it out. And they're and if they say like, no, I got it, you go, no, I insist, and you have to be aggressive. And I remember I did this once to a lady, and I pushed the cart out, and she was completely fine with it. We get to her car. She had all these plastic water bottle. She bought water bottles essentially. And so I'm putting the case of water bottles. I put the cases in her trunk of her car, and she closes the trunk, and she hands me like $5, and we're not supposed to take tips. And I go, no, it's fine. I'm happy to do it. And I start taking the cart back. She goes, honey, you work at Publix. And I snatched the $5, and I was like, thanks, and I just stormed off. There's another time. I'll go ahead and blow my load on the stories. Anyway, my story load. And there was another time my first car was a Ford Mustang from like 98 or something like that, and it had manual windows, and the tires were horrible, and the tires would like get holes in them all the time. But we just couldn't buy new tires, and but I would have to learn. I learned how to change a tire because of that car, because it came with a donut, and I could just throw on a tire left and right. And there was one day I was collecting carts, and a woman hot Saturday ran up to me. He's like, I need help changing my tire. Like, do you know how to change a tire? Like, I just blah blah blah. And I go, flat tire. All right, boom. Let me help you out with this. I changed this tire in maybe 20 minutes or so. And she's like, thank you, thank you so much. And I go back into the store, and I put the carts away. And then the manager Chris walks back up to me. He's like, assistant manager, he's like, where were you? And I was like, this woman asked me to change her tire. Like, well, we needed help. And he starts yelling at me. Just like, well, you guys, like, it's the Publix creed to help everybody out. Okay. The next question. All right, this is from ChatGPT. What are your strengths and weaknesses? And then similarly for Indeed, what makes you unique? Strengths and weaknesses. I typically say, just lie. I love working in a group. I'm very diligent. Just things along the lines of I'm a team player. I take criticism very well. Things like that. Weaknesses include, sometimes I just put my head down and do the work, which is very true. When I was a server, I used to serve food in restaurants, and if I was bogged down with like 5 tables, I would just put my head down and do the work. And I mean that's just the easiest way for me to get through things. And then what makes me unique? The portfolio, my ability to talk to people, how good my work is. Try to relate it to the job. I have a varied experience from this to this as well as this. I'm personable, because they're not just hiring a worker; they're also hiring somebody that they want to work with. Which sounds stupid, but it's true. What interests you about the role? Which is similar to why you want to work in the company. Let's continue down with ChatGPT. Can you describe a challenging situation you faced in a previous job and how you overcame it? Now, this is the most BS question. I do not like this question. It's so generic, and it requires me to, quite frankly, make something up on the spot. Oh, one time a bird flew into the building, and just something like that. Oh, a satellite crashed, and I had to go to space to lift it up. Oh, no wonder nobody wants to hire me. But it's such a stupid question. Like, how is that going to help me? I always say basically the same thing. I was when I was at 11 Alive News, I did a 12 Days of Christmas thing with all the reporters and anchors, and I made this, that, and the other. For Black History Month, I did 28 different written stories and 28 different video stories. For the, it's just such a frustrating question and so generic. This comes from the Harvard Business Review. How do you deal with pressure or stressful situations? I just answered that. Head down, do the work. That was the same fifth question for ChatGPT. For 5, why do you have... Okay, never mind. For Indeed, what motivates you? Oh, and then also let's include this other BS question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years or whatever? And then you answer, what really sucks is like you answer them honestly, you try to give them what they want, or in some cases you give yourself what you think they want, or you give yourself what you want. What motivates you? Where are you going to be in 5 years? Oh, I hope to, have my own show. or I hope to be deeper into the company. And then expound from there. I hope to be in your position and steal your wife. That's the eighth question for Indeed. All right, cool. That's the ninth question. The eighth and ninth question, what are your goals for the future and where do you think you'll be in 5 years? Difficult, and then the difficult work thing. How do you respond to stress or change? How do you handle conflict at work? That is another question, which is something that is very frustrating. I just go, hey, I just try to sit down, talk to people. The end. I've worked with plenty of jerks. And I hope they're doing well, but damn it, when they see me on that stage except in Miami, oh boy, I'm going to call them out. Ooh, I can't wait for that. What motivates me is my grudges. That's not a joke. I hold grudges. I'm a cancer. I have to. Do you prefer working independently or on a team? And I feel like that's a make or break question because if you don't say team, it's like, well, what's wrong with you? Why don't you want to work? I mean, everything's a team thing, but sometimes you can get things done faster by yourself. That's why I work out by myself. And then if I need a spot, I will request a spot from somebody. Can you walk it? Okay, this is from ChatGPT. Can you walk us through a project you completed and your role in it? Oh, God, that is a question I've gotten recently, and that is just... and not even like for an interview. That was for an application. Also, when they ask these questions in applications, that pisses me off. Because I feel like, especially like if it's a TV role, it shouldn't. If it's a TV producerial role, that should not be the case. Like a lot of these are just business questions that I find a lot of applications rely on, even though they're not in the same. It's the same issue I had with several weeks ago. I had to go to the Georgia Department of Labor because I guess they didn't like the way I was filling out my requests for unemployment, and going down there, it was bad because I had to I was basically corralled with people not in the same work style. You know, these even if you were holding like a regular internship at like a law firm or some marketing place, they treated the same people trying to who don't have computers, who are just struggling to get a job in the first place. They treated them as the same as like people in with like business jobs, which is not to like talk down on them, but you can't treat everything so generically the same, which it just doesn't work in that way, because that's not how the job market works. What did you do in your last year to improve your knowledge? I love this question, Harvard Business Review. I read, I watched the news, I wrote. That's like, come on, easy stuff. Obviously, I would do better than that, but easy stuff. What are your salary expectations? You gotta be upfront with them. I expect this much because I made this at my last job, so I'm expecting this much. You don't have to tell them what you made in the last job. Just go, I'm expecting this much. Look up, go on Glassdoor. That's the one thing it's good for. Go on Glassdoor, see how much a job is expected to pay. Are you applying to other jobs? It's like, are you dating other women? I wish I could even hear that question. From your resume, it seems you took a gap year. What would you like to tell us why that was? Sometimes it's not even, I mean, again, I said that earlier. Sometimes it's not even by choice. Actually, all the time, it's not even by choice. It's so funny, like when I see like a parent's like, I'm taking a year off to take care of my child. That's great. That's good for you. I wish I could afford to take a year off. I just want to be close to them. Wonderful. Baby, I wish I could have a child. How do you define success? That's from Indeed. That's bad. I don't like that question. How do your skills align with this role? Why should we hire you? If somebody asks me that, I say, because I'll beat you up if you don't. I swear to God. Why are you leaving your current job? I've been asked that question before, and you just got to tell them. You can't be like, oh, looking for new waters. Just be like, hey, I was caught in layoffs. They didn't renew the contract. All that stuff. Salary range expectation. Do you have any questions? Oh, do you have any questions? Always come in prepared. I always come in prepared with a question. Or even in the middle of the conversation. It can be something of, when are you looking to start? When are you looking to have this position filled? How are you, I was going to say, how are you as a manager, but I don't know. What's the company culture like? Things like that. And then ChatGPT's last 3 questions. How do you prioritize your tasks and manage them effectively? I'm a very organized person. I have a calendar. I put everything on a calendar. I have tasks, apps. I do all that stuff. Can you give an example of a time when you had a difficult decision? Okay, no. How do you stay up to date on industry trends and developments? Friggin' question. And that's that. Okay. Interviews are easy. I just wish I could get to that point of the interview. I'm a very likable person when it comes to the interview. When you see me on paper, you're like, ugh, this guy doesn't have much to offer. But when you see me in real life, they go, that's the guy I want to hire. Get him. Again, it's tough. It will continue to be so. And anyone who is saying that it is easy is a lying sack of crap. Maybe I should have gotten that marketing degree that I originally was supposed to get. I was supposed to get a marketing degree, and then I changed it to writing my freshman year. Which, stupid. But then I don't want to take 7 maths. Math is hard. And I'm a dummy. Listen, if you like what you heard here, you want to see a video version of the show. Excuse me. Let me start this over. Listen, if you like what you heard here and you want to listen to other podcasts, we've got Late Night Lately, which is the late night show over there. Find it wherever you find your podcast, or find it wherever you find podcasts. It's a late night show where I talk about the best things that happen in late night for the week. You can also listen to The Constitutionals, which is the premier podcast. It's an entertainment business news show where I take topics and I talk about them. Find those wherever you find your podcasts. If you want to see video versions of the shows, head to youtube.com/C+comedy, where you can also see me host a show called News Time, which is it's like the Daily Show except way less funny, and it's for entertainment business news, as well as the interviews, which are video versions of the interviews I do for the website. You can also listen to those interviews or with comedians and stuff like that. I mean, you can also listen to them on the Constitutionals podcast feed. Most recently, this is the only I did an audio only interview with these 2 people, India de Beaufort, and Stephanie Weir from Night Court. Check it out. It's a great set of interviews. We got some more lined up. Hopefully, Jesus, oh my God, Anyway, I was offered several more interviews, and we'll see if they pan out. One of them is a junket, mind you, but I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to say anything. Just hopefully I land that one and I land the bigger people in it. Socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, at C Plus Comedy. Me on all those platforms, at Chad Black White. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Let's go out the only way we possibly can, by listening to this hot song. Okay. Bye.